Trade live and free, live on YouTube. Hopefully we are there, which I always like to do, as you know. So I'm going to just have a quick squiz around and make sure that we are trading live and free, which we are. There we are. Okay, so there is I'll put an order here in the market. So you know, right from the bat. So I just want to kind of make you guys aware of what I am doing, and I am trading the euro dollar short. Now I'm going to scale into this one, but I'm going to start with it's euro dollar. And it's a sell. And I'm going to come in here. So I'm selling at 1.85. I think it's 6. Let me just double check it. Sorry, 1.861. .861. Hey, how you doing, Shukri? I think today's the day, mate. Today is the day. I've actually put some orders short in Bitcoin. I'm expecting it to go a little bit higher, but I want to get in. So I've got some shorts in Bitcoin as well, which I'll tell you about on this screen. I can't show you on this this platform, but I can write it here. But I'm selling the euro dollar at 1.8161, and there is stop loss is going to be at the highs up here for right now, because my idea is that I expect this to go. I'm hoping it will go a little bit higher. I want to edge into it a few times. So the stop loss is at 1.2004. And I'm hoping to add 17th. Oh, that's tomorrow, isn't it? Yeah, I might be a day early. You may well be right. But I'm okay with it. I'm comfortable with it. I've gone in very light, mate. I've gone in very, very light. And I'll show you the reason that I've got into Bitcoin where I have in a moment. But I think all of these look quite interesting right now against the dollar. So I'm starting to edge into positions now. I'd quite like the second trade on this one. That's going to cover that one, so I don't need to do anything with that one. I'd really like it there. 1.1917. And we might get that just before the Fed. So I'm going to put my next order in there as well. 1.1917 would be my next one. So I'm scaling in to the position. So the market, I want it to come up really, and I'm happy to lose, to be losing this one. And you might ask, why get in? Well, the reason to get in here is that there is actually already a signal. If we look at this line here, now the signal may well be false at this stage. But if you look at this line here, it looks like a false breakout. And, I think this is almost a classic Jeff trade, retesting the level. You got the monthly pivot there. You got the daily pivot there. There's a lot of resistance there. So I'm quite happy to take a position here just in case it doesn't come up. But what I'd quite like is another false break to the upside and get me in again higher up here. So I'm going to take a second position. So that's the first sell. Now the second sell will be at 1.90. And I'll probably take this one live. And the reason I'm going to take it live is because it might be that that during the Fed's price action actually sort of opens up, goes way up above, and then starts coming down. So this one's like a soft entry, if you like. The second entry is a soft entry. The first entry is my hard entry. Hopefully I get into that, but we'll see. We got good. Hey, Sweet, how are you doing, buddy? We've got Market's opening in 4 seconds. So we'll see if we get a little bit of a boost to the upside as this one starts and triggers us in. Now, when it comes down to equities, I am short on equities as well. But the thing is, my reason for getting short on equities is really about the Fed, and it's going to give me too much exposure to the same reason. Good morning, Crystal. So I am going to clear out. I'm going to wait on that one. So has everybody got this one down? Everybody understands what's going on? I'm short on euro dollar. I've sold at 18610. Stop loss up here at 1.2004. Actually, it might be 1.2016. Actually, let's put 14 instead. I'll put a 1 here. But the idea is that if the market can come up, I'm keeping this position open. And I'll keep it open right the way up here because it's a very, very small position. But then the second entry is going to be at 1.9060. So I'm scaling into the position here. That's the idea with it. Okay, now Bitcoin. Why I've decided to go in Bitcoin now is for this reason. Now I'm short on Bitcoin on another account. On my personal account and somebody else's account. So let me just put this in. But I can't trade Bitcoin here. I would be trading Bitcoin over the euro, to be fair, but I quite like the euro short as well. So I'm okay trading it. Right, inevitably, we'll talk about some numbers in a second as well, but inevitably the market's opened up fairly quietly. Now, I've been joined by Chloe as well, I believe. How you doing, Chloe?
All right, Ash, how's it going?
Oh, yeah, pretty good. Pretty good.
Excellent stuff.
And how's things with you?
Yeah, not too bad. Just munching away on an apple.
I'm sure you're not meant to be munching on, like, you've got carte blanche to munch on whatever you like because you are, I don't know, you must be pretty close to the off now, Chloe.
Yeah, got about 6 weeks to go, give or take, a couple of weeks either side.
6 weeks, wow.
I know, yeah. Doesn't time fly?
It's if time flies, but take this. In fact, I think Molly was born a few
for a little bit early rather than a little bit late. So,
it does actually pose a few problems when they're a bit early. So
well, yeah,
you kind of want full term if you can.
Yeah.
Think that their teeth don't quite develop quite as well. Things like that.
Right.
It's the last little phase. So yeah. Anyway. Get to the fridge and get yourself a Mars bar instead of an apple, Chloe. That's what
If only I had a Mars bar in the fridge.
Oh, well, get to the shop and go and get yourself a Mars bar.
I've been to a shop for 6 months, Ash.
Oh, that's a point, actually. Yeah, you don't want to go. Get on Ocado and order a big punnet of tomato, a big punnet of Mars bars. Right, we're just talking about this market, Chloe. Now, I've just put a short in this euro dollar here. And you might have heard that anyway, what I was doing, but I'm scaling into the euro dollar short. And I was just about to talk about, yes, a new generation, baby, a new generation of traders. Chloe will be training this little one up. I will be training my little up eventually. Maybe there'll be a force together. So we are going to look at Bitcoin because Bitcoin I've taken a short in as well on my other account, and there is the reason I've taken it early. I think the Bitcoin should go up a bit more, but I've taken it a little bit early because now is this on time? These are always a little bit delayed, aren't they? I've taken it a little bit early because we have got this trend line here. It actually looks like it may well hold. It may not, and it looks like that for the first hour that's going on right now might put pay to it. The price that I really want, and I've gone in light on Bitcoin. I'm not too worried if we don't get a short here. But I suspect if we are going short, we're coming through this zone anyway. So I don't mind at this stage. So I'm kind of doubling up, and my double up point is going to be up here. So that's where I really want it, to around about the 11,250 area. I've got a reason for trading Bitcoin, Shukri. I have got a reason, but I'd have to sell the put, wouldn't I? I wouldn't be able to just I wouldn't be able to. I can't buy the WBTC. I don't want to buy Bitcoin. I've sold it, and I can't sell WBTC. So there is method to my madness, and I completely concur and agree with every methodology that you use, and I will be using them at the right time. But the reason I haven't done it just yet is because I'm a seller. So I've got to sell first, right, before I can go and buy. My hope is that I make profit out of this, and then with the profit, I go and get myself some WBTC. That's the idea. And then I'll be you know, no better off, no worse off if it doesn't do what I need it to do, which of course we think it will. To be honest, I won't be buying WBTC. I'll be going to get Ethereum instead. So any profit I make from this trade, if there is any, will be put straight into Ethereum. Now, so you can see that the levels here, these are levels here. So I am short already, and I'm short because I just don't fancy anything against the dollar right now, and I really don't like Bitcoin. If I'm looking across the board, we'll talk about gold in a second, but gold I don't like, silver I don't like, the euro I don't like, the pound I hate. But the pound is you know, it's been battered. My problem with the pound is that I'll wake up one morning and they've done a partial. They've had a partial agreement and things have cleared up, so the pound recovers sharply. So I'm avoiding the pound right now. But of course the pound I hate, and I think the pound will go down as well. But Bitcoin is my favorite of all the things I can trade against the dollar to the downside. Bitcoin is my favorite. So I am short Bitcoin, and I'm short here, and you can see why. Little thing on the hourly that I showed you. There's also a question of whether the pattern retest is here. So one reason to get in, but the pattern absolute test would be at 1125. Sorry, 11,250, as I say. So I'm happy to lose $400 to the upside on this one, just to get a decent move to the downside. So 32 Ethereum for a nodder. What's a nodder? Explain to me what a nodder is. In fact, you know, and I'll put these areas in for you, so everybody knows what I'm doing. I'm a seller. Sell Bitcoin. And I've sold it off at 10,900. That's the first entry. First entry. Now remember, I'm scaling in. Second entry is going to be 11,250. And I've got to be honest, I don't care about chart patterns. I'm just going in. I'm getting into this. I have actually traded this one on a bit of a chart pattern, but I'm just going in here. If it gets up to that point, I'm selling. You can see that there's a trend line along here, but there's also a horizontal area here, and I want as close to the best possible price I can get. Now, I won't just do that if it doesn't happen before FOMC, but what I'd quite like is one of those crazy moments where we get the FOMC out at 7 o'clock and the market does this, boop, and if it does that, I'm selling here. I won't wait for sort of like, you know, nice calm price action come down, because we got a specific event to potentially get us into this this market. So I'm going to use all the people that buy Bitcoin up, if they do, into the news or after the news event, just like we saw with the euro last Thursday, and I'm going to sell it off. So so that's the idea with Bitcoin. So I'm going to be I'm very much a seller. I've already taken positions in Bitcoin to the downside. I'm taking positions in the euro to the downside. Now let's talk about it's a node, okay. Ash, US core retail sales coming up in 5 hours. Well, I can't really advise on that, Sino. I can only tell you what I'm doing. And on occasions, I do different things on different occasions, but on occasions, and predominantly, I want to trade price. That's my overview, is that I always want to trade price. Now, if I'm wrong with the price, I'm trying to go, right, what's the best possible? If I'm short, if I've got my fundamentals and I've done my research, which I've done, and I want to get my best possible short on this. What's the best possible price for my short that I can see right now? I'm not trading technicals. I'm trading purely on the fundamentals, and the fundamentals tell me that I should be trading the dollar Bitcoin short. Now, that doesn't mean I'm right. You're just as likely to be wrong trading fundamentals as you are technicals in many respects, especially without a technical pattern. But so I'm going into these because I quite like where the price point is. Now, retail sales, yes, it's an important number, and let's talk about numbers now. Retail sales will not change what the Fed do. And I suppose if the Fed come out and say that there's further easing, then the dollar's going to go nowhere but down. So Bitcoin's going to go up potentially. So we may well, but I may well be early. I may be really early. I may be completely wrong. But that's what I use a stop loss for. I'm going to get out at a certain position if things don't work out. Why am I so bullish on the dollar? Well, there's a few reasons. But the COT data is the predominant reason that I'm bullish on the dollar. The COT data tells me that I should be looking at long dollar. Now, if the COT data tells me I should be looking at long dollar, the next thing I'm looking for is the price action, and the price action is telling me, when I look down here, the price action is doing exactly what we predicted in some respects to this particular point. And what I talked about last week with the dollar was it creating a complex inverted head and shoulders, and the complex inverted head and shoulders will have multiple left shoulder lows, multiple right shoulder lows, and multiple heads. Now this one's got a multiple left shoulder low there. It's got 2 points. It's got a multiple head here, these 2 points, and I think we're getting to the point where we might be making our multiple right shoulder low here. So that's where I get my inverted head and shoulders from. So the price action is telling me that the dollar is looking at a long at this particular point. Now, the commercials are also telling me that there should be a long. Now, not for much. I'm not looking for a lot of movement. I'm bullish on Bitcoin, bullish on gold and everything else, but just not here. So I'm trying to trade a move against it. Now, yesterday we also had this bar, which is suggesting as well that with a big event coming out, i.e. the FOMC, there are people that are still speculating that this is going higher. Now, why are they speculating on that? Is it because they know something, or is it because they think that there might well be just no announcement whatsoever? Well, these people do a lot of work on the data and to calculate what's going to happen before we've even seen what the data point is. By the time we've reacted to it, they've known a month ago what the data point is because they've done the right calculations on it. So what I'm looking for now, look at this. This is a monthly chart on the dollar index. Now, this is a primary trend on the dollar index. We got the base point down here. Now, the primary trend is months to years, and this has been lasting. This is the base of the primary trend here is since April 2011. Another test in May 2014. Didn't quite test down here, didn't quite get there down there in January 2018, but we are at that particular point again now in August 2020. So, even from a technical basis alone, I like the dollar at this particular point. And when I mine in to see what the shorter term time frame price action is doing, it's given me a reversal pattern here with this inverted head and shoulders. See, so I mean, it might be, I might be a few weeks early. How long did this left shoulder take to form? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 bars. Really, is the state of that right shoulder, the left shoulder. The right shoulder is only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bars. So even if we get up to here, there might be a suggestion that maybe next week is the right timing for it. But it's certainly suggesting at this stage, unless unless Powell comes out and says something really damning for the dollar, to see us under here would be against what the price action and what the fundamental research that I've done suggests. So as I say, you can always be wrong. You know, it doesn't matter how much work you do. You're not going to win every trade, and I might be way off the mark on this stuff. And if I am off the mark, I've got a stop loss in place to make sure that I don't get battered. You know, so this is why I go in light. You know, I go in really light positions, light position again. If I'm wrong, get out, no big deal. You know, you can't say at any one point the market is going to do this, because you are not the market, or I am not the market. So I can't be claiming the market is going to do this because I'm not the market. I'm just saying that at this particular stage, the animal is telling me that it's ready to feed. That you know, the dollar is ready to feed, and it's sleeping down here. But when it wakes up, I think the feed is going to be to the upside. And then if we go to the news and data to see what could prod it to wake it up, then we get the FOMC out at 7 o'clock. So the price point that I might have is potentially early, but if I've got an idea to scale in, then as I average in my position, then I'll get a pretty good price in comparison to what I've got now. And if it doesn't do what I want it to do, which is actually go against me for a little while, then at least I'm in. So that's why I've decided to take it. But this to me is something that can wake the beast up and say, right, it's ready, it's dinner time. And the thing is about dinner time here is that it will be just a day before, just a few hours before the next day. Now, Shukri is talking about the pattern suggesting that tomorrow is the day that this picks up. And that would coincide quite nicely with an FOMC meeting minutes thumbing through the detail and then people taking positions. So it may well be tomorrow. I might be a day early, but you know, I like the price where it is, so I'm quite happy to go in. Is you know, that's the bottom line here. So core retail sales, yes, it's an important number. Now, before we get to that, let's just talk about what we've had out of the UK today. Look at this, core CPI year on year. Now, the last one was at 1.8. So even though this is green, this is a bad number. now, inflation is likely to drive gold potentially. That's one thing that people are concerned with. They're concerned with the inflation play. So they are looking at you know, potentially gold going higher. So inflation across the board. Now, we'd want to see it worldwide. Inflation across the board is going to struggle for a little while, and the reason for that is that if inflation of goods, you know, if we think about what inflation is, so inflation, in fact, maybe I'll do this on a, sorry, Chloe, have you got anything pending here?
Nothing urgent, Ash, no.
Okay, all right, well, I will be over to you in one moment. I'm just going to do this last little thing. So let's think about this. Cool, man. All right, yeah, thanks, Shukri. All right, let's have a talk about that as well then. So right, let's think. So if we've got a load of goods over here, and we've got an economy, doesn't matter what the economy is in. Let's put it in the dollar. We've got an economy over here. Now the economy starts going down, and the economy goes down in travel. Draw my little plane there. It goes down in food. What could I draw here? Probably a chicken. That's meant to be a chicken. It goes down in food, and in fact, I've been better off drawing eggs. And it goes down in motors as well. Let's say it goes down in motor cars as well. Doesn't really matter what it is. We know the first two it's definitely gone down in, and to a degree it's gone down here. So it's suffering in all these areas. Restaurants, and when I say food, I'm talking about restaurants. So basically, the leisure industry is suffering. What do you think these companies are going to do if they are suffering? What do you think the first thing that they're going to do if they are suffering? Now, we've had something over here called I can't remember what it was called, but effectively the government gave people money to go to restaurants. But what do you think? What do you think all these companies are going to do to try and attract customers? If the economy is going down, customers don't have so much money, so they are poorer than they were before, or they are more worried than they were before, even if they've got a job. Cut staff is one thing, John. You're absolutely right. So you get a high unemployment, but there's something else that these companies will do to try and get these people that have got less money in their pocket. So they have these dollars. Now the dollars drop down here, so they've got less dollars. So they did have $2. Now they've only got $1. What are they going to do to attract these people? Give credit, yeah, lower prices, exactly. They lower their prices. Now, if the price goes lower, that means inflation also goes lower. Inflation is down. So inflation coming down is an obvious thing. Yeah, the cut prices, exactly, Helen. So inflation comes down. So if we are thinking that we want to play gold because we are worried about inflation, do we want to trade gold to the upside on an inflation story when the economy is down and having unemployment and companies are having to slash prices to get more people in? Christmas should be interesting, by the way. Wait for some decent deals. They're going to be cutting prices to get people in, like the drawings. Yes, the Fed do need inflation up. You're absolutely right. Yeah, the last thing that they need, but maybe not right now. The Fed could do without inflation probably right now, because it could put things in an incredibly bad position considering the amount of unemployed we've got. So they could do with maybe prices being lower for longer to a degree. So we don't want to play an inflation play until we start to see. So this is why the jobs market and the CPI numbers are so closely correlated. We see the employment rate go up. All of a sudden, that is going to start suggesting that the companies now can start putting their prices up. And that is when we will get inflation. So we need to watch out for this leading to this. And then we start going in to gold on an inflation story. And that would be the timing. So we're thinking about fundamentals. How do we get a position fundamentally? It's this kind of thing that we look for in the fundamental analysis. We say, what drives gold? Well, one thing that drives gold, not everything, that's not everything. Gold is a fear play as well. But one thing that drives gold is it's a hedge against inflation. So what people will do is, if things are inflating in price, gold inflates in price. So by default, gold will go up. So people will hedge gold as a decent commodity to buy in an inflationary environment. So we want to watch out for employment, and we want to watch out for prices in goods when we want to start looking at a gold. Okay. So at this particular stage, it doesn't suggest to me that we are in a deflationary environment, if anything, and not inflationary environment. Which means that if we were to look at a gold chart right now, it leads us to the same thing in some respects as we got with this euro dollar. I'm short euro dollar, and my position also would be for a short in gold. Not interested in gold right now. The fear of what happened with COVID is kind of cleared now. So as gold comes up to this monthly pivot, I'll be quite happy to take it to the downside. Now, the reason I wouldn't take it over Bitcoin, for example, is that is the suggestion to me is that the Bitcoin has probably got a little bit further to drop, and I'll probably make more money out of that if it comes down. If they're both to drop, Bitcoin will come down potentially 7%, and gold might drop 3%. So I'm much more interested in trading Bitcoin short. But it does say to me that we'll be early anyway. As this stuff continues, we'd be early on going in for things like gold. So the expectation is for inflation to rise, and it will. It will have to rise. But at this particular stage, it's just too early. Okay, interesting one. The put option cost on BTC is 4 times the call option. So, oh, that is interesting. Haha, that is interesting. Okay, well, we're in good shape, hopefully. So let me pass to you, Chloe. 1100 versus the 248. That is interesting, mate. Yeah. I just wonder whether Bitcoin has yeah, it's not topped out yet, has it? I do hope it comes up just a little bit further. It'd be great if Bitcoin could get to that 11,250. I'd love it. It's just hanging around the pivots right now. Is a case that nobody's got the money for high street spending. Yes, there is, John. But you see, the thing is, the government. This is where the government step in. I mean, as say in the UK, people were given money to go and spend, and in that way, at least, you know, they're basically given free meals, and then it's left to the restaurants to upsell when people have got their free meals. But you're absolutely right. That could happen. You know, that it might not have the desired effect. Everything that they do is speculation. You know, really, they're attempting to boost economies, but it could be completely speculative. Now, the other thing is that I quite like the Nasdaq for a short as well. You know, I think the timing with the Nasdaq short again is now. You know, it's almost got to the target point that I'd like to go short. I'd quite like it at the monthly pivot. There's one more up here, so it's got a few to go. But again, I still think it's the same play. I'm still trading. If I go short the Nasdaq, having gone short the euro and short Bitcoin, I'm basically taking the same trade. And in some respects, you guys can pick your poison. If you believe the dollar is going to, and you can wait actually. You could wait and see what happens at the FOMC meeting. If the dollar strengthens, you can trade the Nasdaq short. Yeah, Shukri. Sorry, Sino. The government didn't really have a choice over here. I don't know who has done the best out of this. China have obviously handled the situation very, very well. The UK government haven't handled COVID very well at all. So in some respects, they probably needed to do that just to kind of keep a few people on side. That's not why they did it. But do you know the other thing is that I didn't take it up. And there was many other people that wouldn't take it up because it's dangerous. You know, you go sitting opposite a load of people in a restaurant when there's COVID-19 floating around in everybody's dinner plate. Then I'm not really that interested in going to those restaurants. I don't care how much money they gave me. They'd have to pay me a lot more than, what was it, Chloe? Can you remember? Was it 20 quid or something?
I can't remember, Ash, because like you, I didn't take it up. It was 10 or 20.
10 or 20 quid. So it's called the Eat Out Help. I've just had a look at it. It's called the 10
to help out. Yeah.
Eat Out to Help Out. That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So it was a Eat Out to Help Out program, which offered diners a state-funded price reduction of up to £10. Prices in restaurants. So it's a price reduction, so they still have to spend some money. Prices in restaurants and cafes were down 2.6% compared with August last year, and that's what's caused that's what's caused a lack of inflation over here. Because it's coming, and the thing is, if it is, if you like, if we've had a lack of inflation because of artificial meddling or artificial input from the government, that means that when that artificial input goes, watch inflation start to go up again. So gold may not be the right time quite yet, but it's coming pretty soon. As I say, Christmas could be really interesting. I think there's going to be a whole bunch of deals that we could probably take advantage of. And obviously got falling airfare as well because of the lack of people flying and all that sort of thing. So there's a case to be made for no inflation for at least I would have thought 3 to 6 months, and then we can start looking at long gold again. Okay, so what else we got? So Sino, yeah. So Shukri's just letting us know that if we want to sell the puts on Bitcoin. Now let me just explain that to everybody. So this is an option. This is an option trade, and I'm not the person as qualified as some to talk about options, but you can sell. So even though you don't own Bitcoin. So you got Bitcoin over here. Now, even though you don't own any of them, you can effectively borrow Bitcoin to sell, and it's called selling the put, and it's an option. It's an options play, or you can buy the call, where again you don't actually own the asset. You are speculating on a move, and it's a way that some people could speculate on downside without. And it's an old thing. Before you had kind of these trading accounts, it was a way that people could speculate on the movement of something without actually owning the assets itself. And what would happen is that people that owned Bitcoin would lend out Bitcoin to these people at a price, and these people would speculate by selling the asset that they borrowed. So it's called selling the put and buying a call. If you buy a call, then you are effectively saying Bitcoin's going to go up. If you sell the put, you're saying Bitcoin's going to go down. And it's just a different way of trading long and short. And people use it for hedging and all sorts of different weird and wonderful things. Now, we don't need that obviously, because we're going to trade it. So I think we're through the questions. Chloe.
Yes.
What's your take on all this stuff? Alan, I like ADA. ADA Lite hasn't even got any reward yet. Yeah, I like ADA as well at some point, but I've kind of gone off Charles Hoskins, I have to say. Shukri's talked me away from him. He's bad-mouthed him enough to make me think I don't really want a part of ADA anymore. So I'm going to the old classic. I'm going to Ethereum instead. Yeah, what's your take on all this stuff, Chloe? What have you got an opinion about the dollar and stocks and everything else here?
Well, I do, Ash, in that, I mean, fundamentally not so much, but I do have a technical opinion. And as you know, I'm pretty dogged in my pursuit of trends, and that is what really leads all of my trading. So at the moment, having had a pretty non-existent week last week, there are actually a couple of trends that are still resuming. I'm gonna talk about NASDAQ and S&P, but I'm gonna start with Aussie dollar, because that is one of the ones where, we really were thinking prices, because previously we saw this retracement, there was a low test bar here, and then price broke down below the low of that. And at that point I was thinking, okay, I'm going to move my stops up. I moved my stops up to this previous low here. These are trades that I've been in for a few months now. And I was thinking, if I come and get stopped out here for a profit, then no problem at all. But actually, since then, prices continued going up. Now, yesterday, we got a little bit of a high test bar here, but even since then, prices so far today continued to go up. So what I'm not saying is price is going to go up forever. It's definitely not going to go up forever. At some point, price is going to make a lower high, and it's going to come back down. That is pretty much guaranteed. But when that's going to happen and where it's going to happen is anyone's guess.
Yeah, do you know what, Chloe? It's interesting that you pick up the Aussie, because it's the one currency out of all, even the CAD, I think, is a bit of a dog against the dollar. And one of the reasons I don't like the CAD is because of what I think might happen to oil. And a really interesting report actually yesterday from the the environmental committee. I can't remember the name of the committee, but an environmental group where they are meeting next year in China to talk about whether they're hitting their targets. Now, they've missed their targets over the last 10 years. I think it was decided back in 2010 to 2020, and they've missed their targets, but they're going to be back on it. And one of the things on the agenda is the reduction in fossil fuels. So I think the longer term story with oil is bad anyway. But I don't like the CAD. But it's interesting that you choose the Aussie, because this is the one currency that I wouldn't go short against the dollar, because it seems pretty bulletproof, doesn't it? It's in pretty good shape, actually, the Aussie.
It does at the moment, Ash, and I don't know how much of that is to do with the fact that they perhaps have dealt with the COVID issue better than some, certainly better than us over in the UK, and also Europe are struggling as well.
Yeah, and also the China story, isn't it, as well? Because, if China do well, then Australia tend to do well as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if they're having a bit of kickback from the Chinese economy.
Yeah, absolutely. So it could be partly to do with that. But as I said, I don't really speculate. I do have a kind of a fundamental view of Aussie as being stronger than the euro and the pound and things like that. But really, it's just the technicals that are leading my decisions here. And my job as a technical trader is to follow what I see. My job as a trend trader is to trade trends. And also, my job as a trend trader is to conserve my account when things aren't trending. So last week, it was all about conserving my account. And to be honest with you, Ash, this week, it's going to be similar in that I'm not trading anything at full risk anymore this week, because as you said about the US dollar, at some point these trends are going to end. There is a limit to how far they can go. So if I just trade at 0.5% instead of 1% while I'm being more cautious, then no problem. It's just going to conserve my account. But I am still bullish on the Aussie dollar. There's no entry there on the daily time frame. I'm just sticking with the daily trades I'm already in. But as price creeps up, and I do say creep up, it is still pretty sluggish. But as price creeps up, I'm just looking for retracements and opportunities to get into the market, basically. And what we've got here, I mean, it's very, very messy. Let me see if I can get my little pencil up. It's very, very. Sorry, Ash?
I was just going to say, does everybody stop loss hit on the pound? Shukri, the pound Aussie and the pound Kiwi are being obliterated. Yeah, not surprised. The pound is a dog. Yeah, is everybody aware of now? We won't talk about your particular, the full strategy, but we can see certainly on the price action here of a break and retest. Now, I really like where you got that stop loss there on the 25th of August, because that's a classic break and retest area, isn't it? If people wanted to go long, that 25th of August, so back, it looks like about the 2 o'clock
around here, yeah.
No, the next so the high, the break, there.
Yeah,
that's a lovely break and retest, isn't it? I mean, that's an area to go long.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you like the Aussie dollar, just a classic entry there.
Yeah.
So you're looking at this on the hourly chart for trades.
I'm looking on pretty much any of the lower time frames, Ash. I'm not stuck on one particular time frame. What I'm looking at is a bias and a direction, and seeing if I can find any support to that. And as I say, it is very, very messy, but we do have something of a very, very messy head and shoulders there. So that gives me a level over here to look out for. I mean, it's very, very messy, and to be honest, doesn't necessarily help me, but it's just showing that this pullback here is now potentially over. This fairly extended pullback that we saw last week, that was the head, that was the bottom of the move, and since then we've come up. And I tend to, when I see price action like this, I tend to draw my my necklines horizontally, because there isn't really a clean head and shoulders there, but I can definitely see an area of what was resistance there. It has been broken, it has been retested, and price is currently just still pushing up to the upside there. So that's why I'm still bullish on the Aussie dollar. And as I said, I'm not expecting this to go on for forever. So I've got this previous high marked out. So I've got my roadmap of a level that I've been waiting to break and a level that I'm aiming for. Now, I'm not saying that I'm going to take all profits at that level. I'm just saying that's my roadmap. So if I can get in somewhere down here and there's enough reward to risk to make that a worthwhile trade, then I'll take it. What happens past this level is anyone's guess. And if I can still hold on to part of the trade, having made this part of the trade safe already, if I can hold on to part of the trade as price moves through, if that's what it's going to do, and then even start to scale in and build a swing trading position there, then all the better. But I can still make money just trading from where price is now up to this next level, which was that you know, very conservatively, I'm saying it's the previous high, is a very conservative price could make it up to there kind of thing. So that's it. That's what I'm doing, Ash. Normally I enter trend trades with a view to getting 5 to 1, 7 to 1, that kind of thing. I'm not doing that at the moment because I'm not expecting these trends to just go on and on and on and on. But all I'm doing is going with the overall direction from my market analysis and thinking, well, if I can get in around here and take profit around here, then that gives me a safe trade. If the trend does go on and on, all the better. So Aussie dollar is one that I'm looking at for that reason. Kiwi dollar as well. That's Kiwi dollar on the daily time frame. And again, I've got this previous high. It is also a pretty strong level of resistance there. So I've just scrunched up the daily time frame there, but we can see we've got support over here. We've got strong resistance here. Didn't quite make it up to that level just here. So there is a strong level of resistance up there that I definitely would, if I'm trading long, I definitely would want to take profit or partial profits at least before that level. But apart from that, price is still heading upwards. If we want to draw another level of what was resistance over here, now potentially could become support, and price is directly in the middle basically of those two areas. So again, there could be an opportunity to continue trading that long up to this next level of resistance without perhaps too much of a problem. What I would ideally like to see, because I've got this resistance over here, I'd ideally like to see that broken, retested, and that's where I'd be looking for my long entry. So yeah, Aussie dollar, Kiwi dollar, Kiwi yen to a certain extent, I'm still a little bit bullish on, although the price action on the daily doesn't really look so good. Interesting that you were talking about gold as well, Ash, because that is another one that I am still looking at, not actively in any trades at the moment, but I'm still looking at gold. Previously, I was looking at this bar, which ended up as a high test bar, but yesterday morning looked pretty bullish. And I was looking at that as a potential area that could break out. It didn't happen. So that's given us another little bit of resistance to get through. But I'm just waiting to see if today price can push through here. And if it does, then it's down to the lower time frames and looking out for a retest and an area to go long on gold. So I know that's actually pretty much the opposite of what you've just said, Ash, but I'm not saying I'm trading long right now. I'm not pressing buy. I'm just keeping an eye on the price action. I've got a nice pattern here. Well, I say nice, again, it's a little bit messy. And just if it breaks out long, then I'm going to take that opportunity. And again, I'm not necessarily saying it's going to go long for the next 3 weeks. But it might just go long for the day, and if I can grab a 15-minute intraday trade on that, then fantastic. And I'll make.
Well, I think this is the thing, isn't it, Chloe? Because you know, there's no reason that my thesis is right, and everybody needs to be aware that there are obviously sort of like people on the other side of the analysis and sort of saying, well, this is going to happen because, well, otherwise the market wouldn't move, and somebody has to be wrong. And there's no reason at this stage that it isn't me. And actually, if that does break to the upside, I mean, that's a pretty ugly triangle, isn't it? It's just been in a
It's very
horrible,
ugly,
horrible
yeah.
range. But if that does break to the upside, the range on the triangle, so taking the very the highest point where you've got the upper trend line,
Yeah,
there, and measuring down to the bottom of the triangle.
yeah.
So what? It's about what, $140, is it? Something like that.
Yeah.
If we break to the upside, that's going to lead us $140 up. Now that's going to be a breakout, actually, isn't it? To the upside. If it's to come down, where does that lead us? If it breaks down $140.
If it breaks down from here.
From there, yeah.
Pretty much just about off the page. Let me just bring that in a bit.
Could you mark a horizontal level there and see what that does on a weekly or daily chart in regards to support or resistance, and see.
Let's just see.
Okay, so it leads us down to the previous breakout as it goes.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, I mean, gosh, if it went down there, I know a lot of people would be all over it. So around about the 17 to 1800 mark on gold would start to look incredibly attractive.
Yeah.
So yeah, very, very interesting. And as you say, waiting for the break either way is the way to trade this one, really, isn't it? If it breaks to the upside, it's going to take out that high test bar, looking pretty bullish. If it breaks to the downside, then we can aim much, much lower. And actually, on the daily chart, it might even just lead us to the previous shelf on the daily chart. Anywhere in that area would be all right, wouldn't it? Around about the 1800 area would be all right as well. So yeah, gold looks interesting. It's just a bit sleepy right now, so we
It
can't.
is very sleepy. That's what I've been finding the last couple of weeks, really. But yeah, as you said, Ash, it's not even so much about being right or wrong, really. It's just about timing.
Yeah.
It's just about timing. You're not pressing sell right now. I'm not pressing buy right now.
Yeah,
and all we're doing is waiting for the price action to tell us which way it's going, and reacting according to that. So yeah, that's just one that I'm having a look at. And then the others that I'm having a look at, which potentially are, again, probably slightly in contrast to what you've been saying, Ash. But again, I'm just looking at a fairly short-term view. And it's the NASDAQ and the S&P. Let's have a look at the daily timeframes. So apologies for my lines that I've got all over the place. Maybe I'll take those off and start again. So on the NASDAQ, we had this massive drop. And the interesting thing for me is that drop came down to this area here, which was previous resistance, a little bit of resistance there. It was broken, retested as support. Price took off on a run. It's come and crashed down, and it's hit that level of support again. Now I'm calling these levels of, I talk about levels of support and resistance. It's a little bit different on these US indices at the moment because price has never been this high before. So, it's not like I can go to my weekly time frame and look back and think, oh yeah, there's a level of support or resistance there. It's literally just going on what's happened in the last couple of months. But even so, that's all I do have to go on. Price has hit that level of support a couple of times, bounced from it, and headed back to the upside. The only other level I've got here is this previous high, which again was broken, just retested before price then took off again. And price has managed to get above that level also. So that for me, in the short term, is bullish. Now, I'm not saying that price is going to continue to take out all of the previous highs as it was doing over the last few months. We might put in a major lower high, and that could be then the turning point on these indices. But right now, just trading with what I see and the immediate trend, the immediate price action, I see still continuing opportunities to trade low on the intraday timeframes.
Yeah, I'd agree with that as well, Chloe. I mean, I've got a bit of a problem with the Nasdaq because I'd like to trade the Nasdaq short, but I'm finding it difficult to make the full case for a short on Nasdaq. Which, to be fair, what we're just talking about with gold, even though your analysis has sort of been talking about moving up, and my analysis to a degree is about talking about moving down. I'm a little bit non-committal on both gold and the Nasdaq. My commitment really is for Bitcoin. I don't really have too much commitment when it comes to gold. I think my thesis on gold is that if the dollar strengthens, everything's coming down a bit. But when it comes down to gold, I'm not really that committed to saying it's going short. I'd like it to go short more than anything else. But I do think that there's some dollar strength coming, so I think that gold might come with it. But I don't see a great deal of conviction with people to sell off gold, and it's the same with the Nasdaq. I don't see a great deal of conviction. A lot of people are calling this lower, and I'd be I suppose in a similar camp, especially if the dollar is to strengthen, we will see the Nasdaq lower. But it wouldn't surprise me that much just to see it come back to the lows that you pointed out, the double bottom down there, and then hold again. The only thing with the Nasdaq is that it has broken through the trend line. If you go to just a wider view on that, it has broken through a trend line. So technically speaking, it could be under some stress, but that's all I've got really. Just a potential technical that this is breaking down. Now, that doesn't mean that I don't think it will go short. It just means I'm just not that committed to the short on the Nasdaq. I was I was not that long ago, but my view on it has changed a little bit just because it's so bulletproof. I mean, the Nasdaq's an incredible indice, and and how it reacts and how it moves. It's just an amazing indice for how stable it's managed to be. And also, the other thing about the Nasdaq is that we've got Apple releasing products over the next month. We've got Microsoft releasing products over the next month, and we've got Christmas coming. Now, if Microsoft are going to release this new Xbox, there's no way that they're not going to sell a whole truck of them, even with people unemployed, people who have saved for that very moment. And their excuse probably will be, well, I'm going to be in all the time. I've got no job, so I need an Xbox. So I think that there's going to be some, so I think there'll be some okay sales from those companies. And that also suggests that, that with Apple and Microsoft being such huge players in the Nasdaq, it does suggest that it should be fairly resilient, even if it comes down. If this comes down, I'm buying it up. I'm really keen to get in long the Nasdaq, and that's my slight issue with going short. I prefer to use the short to go long, rather than saying this is an all-out time to reverse positions and flip to the downside. I just don't believe that. My belief is that we should be looking for long opportunities with the Nasdaq, and playing it in any other way could be quite dangerous at this stage. So I'm looking for long opportunities, just not here. I'd like it down to that 9.7. I'd love it down there.
Yes.
I probably won't trade it to that point. I might do, but things have to change. Maybe with the US election or something else as a driver. But I'd really like to pick it up down there for a long, rather than trying to fight it, trying to fight what I believe, which is the Nasdaq goes higher.
Yeah, absolutely, Ash. Absolutely. And so yeah, all I'm planning to do with this is pick it up on the lower time frames as and when they set up according to my strategy. If the strategy sets up, I'll buy it and see where that takes me. I will say I am being cautious though. So for example, you mentioned the monthly pivots earlier on. If we just put the monthly pivot on there, I do see monthly pivot as a potential strong level of resistance. So
yeah, me too. Yeah.
That, if I were to pick up an intraday trade long, I'd definitely be looking at scaling out a majority of the position at that monthly pivot. If price does go through there, I can just pick it up again, scale back in. But yeah, things like that, just being cautious, scaling out early, making sure that my trades are safe rather than over ambitious. My primary goal over the next over the next month really is probably as long as I'm going to push out my trading to, is to conserve my account. I don't want to end my year, because my year is going to end in about 4 weeks time in terms of trading.
You mean your life?
Yeah, I don't want to end my life on a low.
Yeah, your life ends when you have a baby, Chloe.
Oh,
You just have to
God,
accept
everyone
it.
keeps saying this, Ash. I've convinced
No, it
myself
doesn't.
it's going to continue as normal.
Well, it won't be normal, but it's a you know, it's a marvelous and beautiful thing. So it doesn't
Yes.
end; it just changes, but significantly. Yeah.
But I don't want to end on a low. So absolute priority is capital preservation for the next 4 weeks. That means I'm entering lower risk trades. I'm having shorter targets, scaling out more conservatively, and then scaling back in if necessary. And that's what I'm doing. So, as I said, Ash, I'm not even really, if I could get into a position now and hold it through Christmas, if there is going to be that Christmas boost to these tech stocks, then amazing. That would be great.
Yeah.
But if I can just make a profit that will last me, a trade that I'm in, make a profit from, and keep my account nice and positive for the next few weeks, then that is also going to be fantastic.
Yeah, if you look at that on a 4 hour actually as well, look at that pattern there. If it breaks out through that that W bottom there, then that is also suggesting that we should get to the monthly pivot minimum. Never mind
so, yeah.
the next leg up. I do think there's maybe one more area around about the 11,950 area that is of interest as well with the Nasdaq. I think if it takes that one out, then we're back to the highs. But I think that the 11,950 and the monthly pivot are the two areas that I think are of interest to potentially take a short on. And US election coming up, we know what that does tend to be with the stock market. The stock market tends to retrace, to a degree, until we get to the election, and maybe sometimes even beyond. So there could be some choppy price action between now and November the 3rd, I think, is it, or the 4th. I think we get the announcement. So looking at around about the monthly pivot or that 11,950 for some potential short-term areas to go short, I think would be okay. But with you, Chloe, I think this one's a long. And the other thing is that obviously this area as a neckline is an area that people are going to be quite interested to go short. But if you look on the 4th of September high, if you draw a trend line actually there, Chloe, instead.
Over here?
Yeah, that one. And then bring it, that one there. So if you draw a trend line from there and bring it through the body of the air there, it looks to me like we may well have broken out. So that suggests that maybe the W pattern's actually broken to the upside already. Can you double that line up as well? Can you copy that line and bring it down to a lower end?
I don't know if my technical skills.
Control and shift. Hold down Control and shift. And then
there you go. Oh, you learn
now
every day.
There you go, Chloe. Just bring it up to the bottom, or keep going up to just the bottom of the body of those down there. Down, 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 down. Go slow, just so I can see it. Keep going down, Getting close now. There. What is the measurement between those two lines?
Between those two is...
What's that? 190. So it's about 200. So
yeah.
What's from the breakout of the upper line? What's 200 above there?
From here.
Yeah.
It is around about there.
So that doesn't quite get us up there. I mean, that may not be where the actually bring that lower line down, and let's have a look at one area there. That could be what we're looking at actually. That looks like there's a bit more. What does that take us to?
So that's more like 300. So that would get us to the monthly pivot.
Yeah.
It's very messy.
It's incredibly messy. Difficult to get a measured move on that, isn't it?
Pattern.
So it's either 200 or 3. I mean, I suppose it's one of those things. You go long here, you probably want to take profit on 200, again on 300, and you'd probably be okay. I would have thought.
Yeah.
But look how quiet it is. I mean,
is.
geez, there's
Yeah.
literally no price action going at all. Entered into the euro, by the way, so we are short now on the euro dollar, and I will see what happens with that one. But aside from that, mate, I think that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. So, Will, I think yeah, we've done an hour in, so we'll be back. You won't be back, Chloe, later on, but I'll. In fact, are you doing tea and hot sauce later?
We've got tea and hot sauce later. Yep. So that is just before your next show.
Oh yeah, I can show you the euro short. Yeah, no problem at all. One second. Euro short. Sorry, I'm just trying to get just trying to grab screen here. It's right on the daily pivot. I've taken a euro short here, and I was just I did print this up earlier on. Now the idea isn't to come out of this if it breaks to the upside. Stops up here for right now. Up at this area right now. So it's a euro dollar. And it is a sell with the entry at 1.1861. Stop loss is going to be at 1.2014. And this is entry 1. That's entry 1. I'm going to enter again up here. If it gets up there, I'm still interested. So there's another sell entry. I'm just scaling in, just in case it doesn't get up to that point. 1.1918. And with this one, it depends on how price gets there. If FOMC does this, I'm just going to take the trade. I'm not going to wait for a price action break or anything like that. If it manages to go through, then I'll wait until it comes down, and I'll try and get it on the way down instead. So what I'm looking for is to scale into this position. I'm expecting it to go higher than this point, but I quite like the resistance point here, and it may not be able to get any higher. There's this trend line down here that you can see that I've drawn. That trend line is kind of suggesting that we've got that resistance point. We've got the weekly and the daily and the monthly pivot there. So my point is that just because it breaks the upside, and this is why you have to go in with the correct money management here. Just because it breaks the upside, I'm not getting out, and I'm not going to get out until this point here because I want to add here. So I want 2 trades. Give me an aggregate of around about this price here. But between the two, it's going to be around about that price there is going to be my aggregate price. Now, if it starts to break and close above this particular point after FOMC, that's the point that I'll probably come out of the trade and wait for it to come back to the highs, and then I'll probably enter again short there. But there's no point in risking that amount of money. But I really like the short on the euro dollar, so I'm going to stick with it until we actually genuinely break through this level. So I'm short here. If it comes through and closes above after FOMC, I will close my position. And if it goes up to this point, I'm going to go short again here with a stop, 50 pips higher or something. Yes, very bullish the dollar, mate. Very, very bullish on the dollar at this particular stage. But we might be early. Shukri has pointed out that actually the cycle starts tomorrow for Bitcoin and the dollar weakness, the dollar strength. So it might be a day early. So you may choose not to get into this trade and say, you know what, let's wait until tomorrow. And I might be being a little bit impatient. But the reason I've got into it is that I like the price, and it always comes down to that for me. I quite like the price here. If this doesn't do what I need it to do, then if it does start to fly to the upside, the price point that I'm giving up is 14. What is it? What's that? 150. 150. But if you were to look at that on a kind of monthly chart or something, then or a daily, then 150 doesn't really count for, you know, it's not a huge number to come down 150. So I want to edge in slowly and see if I can get it a big run. Actually, what I wanted to look at rather than that is the dollar index, which I've lost. Where's my dollar index gone? Here it is. So with the dollar index, I'm looking for it up there. But actually, yeah, thinking about it, if you look at that on the if you do look at it on the euro dollar, then I don't know how we can measure this actually. If they do measure, in fact, let's do it this way. Wish that wouldn't get in the way. So it's about 1.5%. So if this can come down from this particular point here, that leads us down to around about 4%. So it becomes a, you know, around about a 2-to-1 with the stops at the highs, but with adding, then it might end up a little bit better. I do think it's a bit early, to be honest, but I'm okay with that. Right then, so things coming up. We have got Shukri tonight as well at 7 p.m. Sing time, and I would strongly advise that you get in to hear what Shukri's got to say. Very, very knowledgeable man, very generous in his information, and he will be on between 7 and 8. Is it, Shukri, talking about cryptos and I can't remember what the name of his show is. It's something to do with the moon. No worries, LT. No problem at all. Yep. Yeah, you're going to see a real pool tonight. So we're going to be talking about some pretty advanced things on that particular show. 7 to 7:30, so it's a half-hour show. So join Shukri then. Crypto Moon, it's called. I don't think that's high enough, Shukri. I think you should have gone to a Crypto Planet X. I'm sure it should be right at the edge of the solar system. Is that the last planet in the solar system, Chloe? You're pretty up on this stuff.
Well, I don't know about the solar system, Ash. I only realised recently that they've demoted. What was that last planet when we were at school? Was
Pluto?
it Pluto? Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they demoted it and said it wasn't a planet anymore.
Oh, it's a moon, is it?
I don't know what it is.
Oh well, if it's a moon, maybe that's the moon that Shukri's talking about. Then maybe it's crypto. Yeah. Crypto moon is actually Pluto. So it does take us up quite a way. Then that's fair enough. I think that's about the right place for him. Just seeing the Nasdaq just having a little bit of a push to the upside. Actually, equities generally just having a little bit of a push to the upside, trying to take a bit of a grab here, trying to get itself out of a bit of a range on this, just starting to push a little bit here, breaking out there. So it looks like the Nasdaq still got some legs. Crypto Galaxy, yeah, maybe. Anyway, so Shukri will be 7:30. I will be back. I'm going to try and give you it in Singapore time. I'm going to be back at 1:30 UK, which is 5 and a bit hours from now, which is going to lead us to 9:30, I believe. So I'll be after Shukri, in actual fact, in between. So it's going to be Shukri at 7. Chloe, when is tea and hot sauce?
I believe it's 7:45 till
okay, so we got
8:15.
Brilliant stuff. So we got Shukri 7 to 7:30. Then we got Orlando and Chloe at 7:45 to 8:15.
And then it's you again at 8:30, I think.
And then it's Orlando and I. Yes, he's going to stay on with me at 8:30, and we'll be running right the way through to the US session, finishing around about I guess 10 o'clock tonight. So action-packed day, actually. Lots of stuff coming up. And then there's also a free master class. I can't remember what they called it, but with Paul, Julian, and Ainsley. What was that, Chloe?
Oh, what was that? I did read about that yesterday.
Yeah, that's more of a reminder for everybody. So it's is it mentorship only session? Yeah, mentorship only session. Yeah,
that's right.
So there's a mentorship only session, totally free, featuring Julian, Ainsley, and Paul. And that is on Sunday. So plenty coming up this week. Enjoy the rest of your day. The FOMC is tonight. Be careful if you are trading just before the FOMC, and we will discuss more bits and pieces during the US show on that stuff, and we will be digging in and infiltrating Orlando's brain to find out how and where he deciphers the key levels, and that is going to be for Shukri. Shukri, remind me of that when we're in the show. Make sure we flip that answer and we get Orlando to do some proper analysis on that for us. Okay, well done, gang. We'll see you tomorrow at same trade time, same trade channel. Thanks so much for joining us. Thanks so much, Chloe. Brilliant work as always. See you tomorrow at 5 to 8. Week. So I say see you at 5 to 8, and then you say don't be late.
All right. Don't be late, everyone.
That's Jeff's line, you see. All right, see you, gang.